All right, so let's get into it. Welcome back, thinking out loud about basketball, man. So it's been a little bit of controversy or whatever. People talking about the face of the league. Once again, I feel like we always having this conversation over and over again. They've been on the hunt for the face of the league since we know LeBron is getting older and older. LeBron has been the face for like the last decade or whatever. But now they're on a hunt of like who's going to be that next face of the league. But then you coming in and stuff like Anthony Edwards right there. I had a previous video where I said who I would think should be the next face of the league, and I picked Anthony Edwards. But he didn't have some comments since then, and he's just like, nah. Like he basically saying he ain't really want it. You got Wimby and all that for it. But there's been a whole lot of other opinions based off of that, just because people they want a face of the league, and especially people in America, they want an American-born face of the league going forward for the next few years. Like it's a lot of foreign players that's coming in. They do not want this league to be completely take over by the foreign players, because USA, like Team USA, it's been like the standard for basketball for years and years and years. People do not want that to change. So it's a whole lot of different controversy. Then you hear Ant say, nah, that's what you got Wimby for. People don't want to hear that. They like, no, Ant, you have to be the face of the league. But I completely understand why somebody like Ant would not want to be the face of the NBA, like especially how like this current era is like made up with all the extra social media and things like that. Then you had LeBron coming in, he chimed in and was like he understands why. Like LeBron, him making that statement actually means something. He's been at the face of the league for the last, since he really came into the league. He's had to deal with that pressure constantly and constantly, and even more since the social media has gotten bigger and bigger. Like he came in, he had a lot of pressure already, like with the magazines, everything, the signature shoe, the Nike deal, all that. But it was still at the beginning of like when social media was still trying to find his way popping up. And then he faced the transition where it becomes more and more and more, like where you could literally be doing nothing. The season can be over and LeBron can just look up and have a random topic about them and people talking negatively about them for no apparent reason. Like that's what the face of the league comes with. The face of the league comes with, no matter what is going on, you're going to have to face some type of criticism at any given time during the season, outside of the season. It's like it doesn't matter. You have to face that, and you have to be the one that takes on all of that. While the other guys, like the Stephen Currys, the Kevin Durant's, all of them, yeah, they face criticism and all that sometimes, but at the end of the day, they're not the ones that's held to this highest standard. When you look at the face, you expect perfection every single time. Like you have to be perfect, not only on the court, but also off the court. You have to be squeaky clean. And like you already have this pedestal that you have to look like. The pedestal was Michael Jordan. The pedestal was Michael. That's what the old media tells you. That's the perfect guy right there. 6-0 in the NBA Finals. It don't really matter what he did in his past and all that with the gambling and all that. How he was a team. It don't really matter. That guy is the pedestal. He's the perfect guy right there. And LeBron has had to go up against that since he entered the league. And yes, he put some of that on himself. He picked number 23. He did all that. He put that on himself. But at the end of the day, like, he doesn't feel as though I feel like he doesn't feel as though he could celebrate himself as just LeBron without that casted shadow of you're not as great as Jordan up him. And like that's what the next face of the league is going to have to deal with. Now it's just going to be, all right, you got Jordan and you got LeBron, you got to go up against, you got to meet these criterias for. And social media has added so much different personalities, different talking heads that will add more on into it, and it make it feel like you don't want to like do that. Like you have to face these standards and be perfect at all entire times. And like you see Anthony Edwards, he's out here, like you see how he talking to Obama, telling Obama stand down, man, I'm the truth and all. Like Ant, I don't know if Ant wants to be in that position where you have to be this squeaky clean, perfect person that is going to be held at this particular standard all the time. And like, it's only really one, like, people have mentioned different people. Like, I saw Melo, he was like the Ants, the John Morants, like Zion at one point. Tatum is supposed to be like in line for this next phase of the league, like for American bred born player. But out of these people, it's only really one player that is able to have that like squeaky clean type of personality, and that's probably Tatum out of that group. But people, like, he's still getting criticized because he doesn't have the charisma, the aura that people want from him. Anthony Edwards has it, but he's not going to be that squeaky clean person on and off the court. John Morant, we know he ain't that squeaky clean person on and off the court. So like, it's a struggle for who is going to be these next face of the leagues. And then you have people like Stephen A. Smith coming in with his standards and everything. And I understand, like, I get what Stephen A. was saying in his comments about how they do celebrate the people, the face of the league. They celebrate these players. Yes, they do. But when you look at the media, there's always something going on where it's just like they're low-key waiting for something to talk about. Like, they're waiting for something negatively to talk about it for no apparent reason. Like, it's just always like, no matter what, you can wake up randomly, there's a random topic about this where the media's going to get into them talking negatively about this person for no apparent reason. And some of it is warranted, as Stephen A. was saying. Like y'all brought this on yourselves. Like, some of the stuff, like the all-star effort, everything, like, that is some, like, you have to talk about that and you have to hold them accountable. But there's also a lot of other added extra stuff that doesn't need to be like brought up every single time for no reason. Why are we always having random conversations about like the legacies and all that? Like, the season can be over and I can click on a video where it's just like LeBron's legacy, like what's up with the legacy, and like, people do not want to have to deal with that BS all the time, because it's just like, that is so much pressure. LeBron has had that pressure since the day he came into this league. And then you have a guy like Jordan where he doesn't really, like, they talked about him like he had the gambling problems and all that. They talked about that during it. But how we see it now, it doesn't really matter, like, the negative stuff that Jordan did, because he's perfect head on this pedestal. Imagine if a guy like LeBron messed up outside of basketball publicly. Imagine LeBron had a gambling issue or something like that. In this day and age, like, Stephen A. can't sit here and say that the media would not contribute to the tearing down of going up against his legacy. Yeah, they'll probably be like, yeah, but it's LeBron and all that. But they definitely would go at him. They would definitely go at him. And all these different extra social media heads and all that, and just random casual people, they will take that, whatever negative you say, Stephen A. and all them other talking heads, whatever they say, they will take that and run with it. And that's going to help rip down the legacy, everything he built for. Imagine if that, like, we think about Jordan 20 years later, we look at him and this is like, he was the Messiah, he's the GOAT. If LeBron messes up right now, that's going to tarnish his legacy going forward. Like, the new people that's being born right now, they ain't going to just look at LeBron as like, oh man, he was the second greatest player ever. Nah, they going to look at him like, oh, LeBron was great, but he messed up. Like, they always going to bring up that he messed up. We don't bring up that Jordan messed up. Nobody care about that man gambling or whatever he was doing. Nobody care about how he was as a teammate. Like, nobody care about the negative stuff that, like, they bring up the Isaiah Thomas keeping him off the team. Like, no one cares, because how the media pushed Jordan to us, he's him. He's the GOAT. He's him. LeBron doesn't have, like, he has to be perfect. He has, like, that, the stuff that the media praises him about being a great philanthropist, a great father, like a great activist, all that. It's because he literally has to do that. If he messes up, he's going to be faced to the criticism of, like, the craziest criticism ever. And that's what the next face of the league is going to have to go up against. Like, you have to be this perfect squeaky clean person on and off the court. Like, you can deal with it on the court for the most part. You can deal with it on the court. Like, they gonna always talk negatively about you. Even the ones that aren't the face of the league, they gonna talk like you're gonna have your moment. You're not gonna have it as much as the face of the league, but you're gonna have your moments where people are, all right, the pressure's on you now, bro. You gotta win something. You gotta win something. They can deal with that. I feel like players are able to deal with that, like that type of criticism. But the fact that you have to also deal with the off the court stuff, where you have to be the squeaky clean person, like all eyes are on you type of people. Like, LeBron had to deal with that for so long, and he had to be so perfect, because in this day and age, if you are to mess up as the face of the league, it all hell gonna break loose. It's gonna be catastrophic for you. Like, and I feel like that's something that, like, guys like Stephen A and all that, like, are missing. Like, yes, they should be held accountable for the things that they are doing and the things, but you got to realize the media, they are contributing to all the stuff that can negatively tear apart somebody's legacy in a catastrophic way. Like, these players are held at a standard in this day and age. So crazy. And the fact that we end up having these random conversations when these players are not even doing anything. Like, it's a crazy thing to have to go through. Like, when you're a kid and you imagine, like, oh man, I want to come up, I want to be the best player in the NBA. You know, I want to be winning all these championships, the MVPs, all that. I don't think this is what you imagine as a kid. Just randomly, all right, it could be a random Tuesday. I'm not even playing today. Like, and it'd be like, how does this affect LeBron's legacy? Like, me as a kid, I grew up, I want to be the best player in the NBA. How does this affect Dion's legacy? Like, who wants to deal with that? Nobody wants to deal with that. Like, when I was growing up as a kid, I heard about Jordan. Like, I looked at Jordan like he was great, like the greatest player all the time. Like, when I thought about that, that's what I thought about. Now, when you think about these players, you also have to think about the other negative aspects, because that's what is pushed. That's what is pushed. And like the added social media factor, like the media had to take that to account and also push that too, to push the numbers. Like, social media, there's a lot of different other people casual people having different opinions and all that. And the media has to take that to an account, because that's what they know that gets them an engagement and gets them and all that. So don't act like y'all don't contribute to the negative stuff that these players are talking about. You do. You do. You're trying to get views. You're trying to get engagement. That's what y'all are trying to do. So in this day and age, negativity sells. So, like, what a face of the league just doesn't want, like, the players, they just don't want to have to do with all that added pressure. Like, in this day and age, it's just way too much. It's way too much to deal with. Like, I wouldn't want to have to be looking over my shoulder every single time, every single 2 seconds. That's literally too much. That's too much to deal with. Ant just wants to be Ant. Like, it's a lane for people like Ant. And yeah, you got AI. I don't think AI was ever, like, really the face of the league. But when you look at AI, he had so much influence, so much swag, all that. People look at him, people hold him up like that's AI. AI did so much for the game. Ant could be in that space right there. He ain't gotta be the face of the league, but people gonna look at Ant was that swaggy, like, in this era, this generation, he's the one that brought back some of that old, like, competitive nature. Like, yeah, I'm going at you, I'm talking all the trash to you, and I'm bringing the swag, I'm gonna dunk on you, all that. Like, Ant could hold that space without being the face of the league. There's not that many people who I think that's able to be the face of the league like the way LeBron James is. Like, the only person that I would probably say, like, that's American born right now that has the chance to be some type of face league, even though people may not like it because he considered corny and all that, is Tatum. Like, he's the only person that was like, had the squeaky clean like resume, all that. He probably had the championships at the end of the day, like, but people don't want that because he doesn't have the it factor, and I get it, I see it. So we're still going to be waiting for the face of the league that people want for years and years to come, but people have to want that. And I don't know if these players want that, especially in this day and age. We'll see if somebody eventually comes up that's going to be able to be that perfect on and off the court person that's going to actually embrace it. That's going to actually embrace it because you have a standard already set. You got Jordan standard. You got LeBron standard now. Somebody has to come in and want to be that guy. We'll see if that happens in the near future. Right now, I do not see anybody like that has all of those boxes checked right now that can come in and do that. But we'll see. We'll see. Let me know if y'all like how y'all feel about the conversation of the pace of the league. Like, is the media right? Like, and what they're saying and how these players should be held accountable, or is the players right? Like, is it too much like bullshit you gotta deal with? Let me know. Let me know. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. I'm out here. Peace.